yes.
So what did the economics of the feasibility study say? What's your cost of production there? And that's one question.
We have two scenarios. The original scenario was to mine 1,800 tons of ore per day and build a mill to treat this ore. And the price for zinc and silver and the rate of exchange of the Canadian dollar with the US dollar that we used was very conservative. It was 88 cents for zinc and $15 for silver. But to increase the profitability of the project, we did a simulation based on the feasibility study, but by changing some of the factors, by increasing the size of the mill, for example, from 1,800 tons per day to 2,700 tons per day, which would give us a capacity to treat 1 million tons per year. With that, we reduced the cost of mining, and this enabled us to use lower material as ore.
Right.
And
so
that increased the, now we have in this simulation, we have 13 years of mining at 1 million tons per year.
Okay, and at what cost then would the silver be? If you use a credit, you'd apply a zinc credit to the silver? Or how would that work?
Well, we've done it the other way around.
The other way around?
The
zinc is more
use
valuable.
the silver to reduce the cost of mining zinc.
Okay.
And then
so
as a result of that, the cost of mining zinc is very low.
Very low.
Yeah.
So it'd be, to give our viewers a sense, what is the price of zinc now and what would be the cost of production?
Well,
under that scenario?
Yeah, well, the price of zinc would be maybe 14 cents per pound.
The cost of production?
Depending on the variation in the prices.
Okay, so it's
14 to 24 cents.
So it's potentially a very economic deposit. Now, how soon do you think, Renaud, do you think you can get into production here? Is there some sense of, or some goal?
Well, we're already in the permitting and the financing stage. And for the permitting, well, there are some technical studies that have to be completed. And this can be done very quickly, in 6 months, 1 year at the most. And at this stage, then we need the financing.
Yes, and you've been talking to banks and institutions about financing?
Yes, that's right. We've been talking to banks, to brokers, and to outside investors, you know. And
okay, so you've got two properties that are very advanced, very promising.
Yes.
You've got lots of upside potential. In your mind, your share price is around 15 cents now. What do you think it should be?
Well, a minimum of 50 cents.
50 cents?
But I think it could go much higher.
Yeah.
If we get the financing and we start one of the mines, or maybe both of them, then we will have a substantial annual cash flow.
Okay, so investors that buy your shares at this level, what do you think their biggest risk is?
Well, the biggest risk is always that the price of the metals will drop, you know, and that we can't find the financing to start the mines.
Right.
But I mean, there are lots of factors are positive, you know.
Yeah.
So it doesn't appear to us to be impossible to find the financing. I think this is coming. We already have some interested parties with whom we're discussing.
Very good, very good. Well, is there anything else you'd like to add before we conclude our discussion? Anything that I mean, I know there's lots of things to tell me, but is there anything that you would like to leave with investors before we conclude our discussion?
Well, we have another property, the Aldermac property, with 2 million tons of copper, zinc, and a little bit of gold and silver. This was a past producer, so there's a shaft and there's some drifts in there. And there are 2 million tons of historical resources in that property. So that's a substantial asset also. And as mentioned earlier, I think the price of the shares couldn't go up, you know, substantially, and then the downside risk is very low.
Well, you know, Renaud, I've been telling my subscribers and listeners to my radio show that I believe we're in the bull market of a lifetime for gold mining shares. I think we're in a bull market for metals in general. But I think your timing finally is right here on this, Renaud. I know you've been at this a long time with Abcourt. You actually bought into the company or bought the company out of bankruptcy at a time at the very peak of the last cycle, right? But I think that we're on a much bigger bull market for gold and for the metals in general now than we were in the 1970s. So I'm thinking you're going to succeed this round, and I wish you the very best. If there's anything else, I guess you just have lots of upside potential, right? And so. It's never a riskless business. Mining is always risky, as you say. Perhaps the biggest risk is the metals prices decline, and then you can't get financing. And we've seen that happen in this cycle. But you know, right now, what's not to like about this mining industry? I think so. I'm going to certainly be talking to my subscribers and to my listeners on my radio show about your company. It certainly seems like a bargain at its current price. So, thank you very much for sharing your story with us, and I look forward to following your progress. Nice. All the best. Take care.
Thank you.